What actually makes something fun? Why do some things instantly feel good while others just never really click? And most importantly, why does it feel harder to have fun now than it used to? So now, first things first. Of course, what people find fun is going to differ. What one person likes, another person will not. So you might be saying, how could you make a general rule about this? Well, even though what people like tends to differ, research has found that, at its core, the same reasons are driving why these people are having fun with any given activity. Specifically, your brain rewards learning, adaptation, and progress. And there are a few things that any given activity needs to do to keep you engaged. Let's start with challenge, because difficulty is a hot topic lately, and the research on what people consider engaging is actually pretty interesting. There is a psychologist named Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi, and what he studied was something that he called flow. Anyone who's into sports has probably heard of the flow state, the zone as it were. Basically, people tend to enjoy things the most when they're challenged enough to stay engaged, but not so overwhelmed that they shut down. Too easy becomes boring, too hard will become frustrating, and fun tends to live somewhere in the middle. To quote a line from him directly, he described flow as being completely involved in an activity for its own sake. The ego falls away, time flies. Perhaps the most important thing, though, that his research did was that it contradicted the idea that fun came from comfort. Instead, he found that people were most fulfilled and satisfied when they were challenged. But of course, if challenge alone was the only metric, everyone would just always be trying to do the hardest thing all the time. So there's a little bit more to that. Another thing that you need to create fun is feedback. Your brain loves when something changes, especially when you caused the change. Think about, and I really hope that everyone has some moment like this, a time in your life where you changed something. Whether it was your relationship with a friend or parent, whether it was how you were treating work, whether it was something that you were doing, maybe you started going to the gym, and you began to see changes. I bet that that left a really lasting impression on you. And maybe it wasn't fun on its own, but it made doing that thing feel a lot better. One of the easiest examples of feedback is competition. Whenever you're competing, you know right away when you lose, when you win, and oftentimes why, what you did wrong, and what you can do better next time. And that next time is the next part of this: progress. Making progress in whatever you're doing and feeling like you're getting better at it is one of the most important parts in staying engaged. And engagement tends to lead to having more fun, because now there's more feedback, there's more challenge, and you become more interested in whatever you're doing, effectively getting into the flow state that... I said it once this video.
Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi
believes makes people feel fulfilled. Whatever you do for fun, it almost certainly has elements of all of this. Whether it's learning a boss fight, lifting at the gym and seeing progress as you lift heavier, improving at an instrument, or even learning social skills. Believe it or not, I do have fun watching my videos now and comparing them to when I first started. My god, I could barely speak, it was pretty rough. Fun usually happens when effort turns into visible progress. In other words, if we want to turn fun into a process that we can explain with action, it would look something like this. You attempt something, you struggle with it, you get feedback, you adapt, you improve, and then your brain, and usually life, rewards you for that improvement. Now, what that reward is will vary, but if you're playing a game, you might beat the boss. If you're in a competition, you might win. If you're trying to play a new song, you'll be able to hear the song. That's the reward. And then every time you make it to that reward stage, you get a dopamine hit, and it reinforces the entire process. This process is where a huge amount of fun seems to come from. And the reward feels meaningful because you earned it. But then, why is having fun so much harder than it used to be? Well, modern entertainment has started doing something weird. It increasingly tries to give you the reward without making you go through the process that normally creates it. Don't worry, I'm not going to turn into another dopamine detox guru. But what I am going to say is instead of this model that I'm talking about where you struggle, you adapt and improve, and you get rewarded, now whenever you feel bored, you can just pull out your phone and get the reward. Next stimulus, get the reward. Next stimulus, get the reward. And you repeat. There is no effort, no adaptation, other than trying to make your feed stop showing you weird stuff. No mastery, it's just constant stimulation. Now, this doesn't mean that short videos are evil or easy entertainment is bad. The issue is when your brain starts getting used to rewards that require almost no engagement. Because once you've adapted to instant stimulation, slower forms of fun do start feeling worse. Things like reading, practicing skills, long games, even slower movies start to be less engaging. Not because they're less fun, but because they require the process. So, in other words, the more that I looked into this, the less that it seemed like fun is about something feeling good, and the more that it seemed like it's about meaningful engagement. Or if you want to paraphrase, fun isn't just getting a reward, it's earning one. And the more that we replace that process, the harder it becomes to actually feel. Thank you all so much for watching. I had a lot of fun making this video. Fuck. Thank you all so much for watching. I had a lot of fun making this video. If you want to know all of the research that I was looking at while I made it, there was Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi, which I'm sure I will put how you spell that name up on the screen because holy shit. That's where I got my idea on deep engagement and challenge. There was reward prediction error, aka dopamine research, so Wolfram Schultz and reinforcement learning in neuroscience, which, it's a lot of big words to say, basically. Your brain likes it when outcomes are better or different than expected. That's when dopamine will spike the strongest. I didn't go into that too much, but that's a big part of, like, gambling, right? You go into gambling expecting to lose, and then you win and you get that really big dopamine hit. There we go. That is reward prediction error. And reinforcement learning in behavioral psychology. This is what I use to create the process of attempt, feedback, adaptation, improvement, reward. That loop idea came mostly from reinforcement learning, which I don't know if there's anything that directly supports that, but it's pretty foundational in psychology and neuroscience, and what I said was my own extrapolation on it. Finally, the part about why it's harder to have fun is informed by something called hedonic adaptation, which goes into overstimulation, instant gratification, and how over time we adapt to the dopamine of easy rewards. Although specifically it mentions that easy rewards become less rewarding over time, which I think is what a lot of people are experiencing, where they're not finding the same fun in things that they used to enjoy because there's not enough effort that goes into having that fun. I know the explanation of all of this is probably going to be longer than the video, but I feel like it's very important for longer form content, so for YouTube in particular, to actually inform people of where their ideas are coming from. Because, like, I can make a short form version of this that skips all of this, but then people are endlessly going to say, well, what made you think this? And they're going to argue with it. So here's what I used. You can agree or disagree, of course, but yeah, if this was interesting to you, please like and subscribe. As always, thank you so much for watching, take care, and until next time, see ya.